Big Podcast.
One of the most interesting things that I've ever seen when it comes to voiceover is a table read where you will see somebody change from one character to another, even having a conversation with himself or herself, and doing that conversation by switching characters on the fly. You would not know it unless you were watching them. If you were listening to them, you might even think it's two different people. I worked with a guy today doing live radio that was doing something like that. I'm going to talk about that story and more, how you can do something similar, pivoting on the fly to get the interview that you want at a live event. The pivot specifically for interviewing. That is what this episode is about. This is Big Podcast Playbook. Grow your podcast, build your audience. My name is David Hooper. You can find me at bigpodcast.com. I have been doing this, well, a long time. Podcasting since 2005. Radio since the 90s. Self-employed since the 90s, specifically with marketing, helping people to grow their audiences, bring more people. It used to be to shows because I was in the music industry. Now it's bringing people to live events, to whatever it is that you're selling, to your podcast, but more or less growing your audience. So let's get to this. First of all, let me tell you this story. I've been working with SiriusXM a lot lately, doing production work, and was working with a host, formerly of CNN. I'd heard his show before, and I'm assuming that he's got these clips where he goes into the news or he goes into a weather segment, and then he goes into the show right afterwards. And there's imaging there, and we're back. It was live. It was not a segment. It was imaging weather, imaging news. He does the news, he does the weather on the fly, whatever's happening right there. And then, and we're back. The show is back on. And you think that it is a separate moment. It was so cool once I got to see the behind the scenes. This is a rip and read guy. That's what I call him. Rip and read. It's an old thing. It would be like a fax machine or a telex where news would come through. These guys would rip it off the printer and they would read it as if they had done it a million times. It sounded smooth, prepared, and professional. The behind the scenes of it is you don't know what's coming up at you. You are going to be in a similar situation if you do an interview at a live event, really any interview, but especially going to a live event, especially if it is a live event that you have not attended before. Let's talk about live events real quick. Live events, they reward flexibility. The person who is ready to capture the moment as it is happening, capture people in the crowd while they are still there, because it's temporary. Those moments are fleeting. Once they're gone, they're gone. And the people that are there, they're not going to be there forever. They're certainly not going to be in that mindset forever. So the person, in this case, the podcaster, who's going to get the most value from the live event is the one who can recognize what's going on and pivot to capture it on tape. Let me set the stakes here and tell you about this event that I went to. It was the Mid-America Trucking Show, also known as MATS. It is in a venue with 1 million square feet. There was what they call a show truck section. I'm doing a documentary on these. These are trucks, and I'm talking semi-trucks, a tractor and a trailer that are kind of doing what you would do in Pimp My Ride. These guys have taken a machine that at its base level is probably at this point $200,000, $250,000. With that said, some of these guys are getting used cabs, used trailers, something that would be in the junkyard. It might be $20,000 or $30,000, but a ton of money regardless. And fixing them up with, one guy was telling me he was polishing a tank for 40 to 50 hours. There's 2 tanks on there, and you can imagine polishing a tank at 40 to 50 hours, what it would take to polish an entire 53-foot trailer. There are mirrors under these trucks, and these things are spotless. People are looking under them. They have the white glove, rubbing them on the underside of the truck. If there's dust, you're in trouble. And you can imagine there is a lot of dust under a truck. That's actually a trucking saying. Keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down. A lot of dust on the road. So these guys are cleaning all that up, putting a lot into these trucks. That was what was at stake for me. I wanted to get to these people. I wanted to interview them when they were in competition mode, before, during, and after the competition, because the judges, they go through their scoring of the points. I had just a little bit of time to get each of those moments on tape as they were happening. That's the stakes. You're going to have similar stakes with any live event that you do. It's months of work to put these things together. It's months of networking that you can get done in just a few days. It is a ton of people in one space for a limited amount of time. How long would it take for you to go out and find 10 people doing what you do and do individual interviews with them? You cannot beat a live event for that. Multiple guests in one place. There's the built-in energy, people excited about the live event, especially in something like I just did, a contest, a competition, this urgency that people are really into. You can capture that on tape. There's also an element of social proof. When I release this stuff, people say, oh, you were there? Yes, I was there. It was an event, 1 million square feet, 5,000 truckers, tens of millions of dollars of trucks on the lot. People know that with this event. They know your event. That adds to the credibility and excitement of your podcast. And to raise the stakes even more for you, once this disappears, it disappears. And I've seen this happen. Have you ever been at a conference or a big expo after the fact, when everybody goes home, you're one of the last few people there where they're starting to shut the thing down? They clear out these huge venues within hours. And this one, 1 million square feet, apparently 8 to 12 hours, they're done. They've reset it. The next event is in there. You don't get unlimited shots of these things, but when you do get that shot and you take advantage of it, it pays off big. Let me tell you what I did with the Mid-America Trucking Show. I'll give you the original plan. I thought what I was going to do, because I'm telling the stories of America's truckers, specifically over-the-road truckers, guys that are on the road for a month, 2 months at a time, 48 states. They can go anywhere. You dispatch them, they go. Those are the stories that I want. What's that like? What is life on the road like? What is living in your cab like? What is your family life like? What is the money like? Why are you doing this? Why are you here? What got you into it? What keeps you here? Are you ready to get out? I want those stories. This was an opportunity for me to meet a bunch of these guys at once. And when I say guys, we're talking probably, 90, 95% guys. There are about 5% women in this business. Also get those stories. What are you doing here? 5% women. How come we're not seeing more women? Tell me about that. I knew there were going to be a bunch of people there. I was thinking about going for volume, something fast, lightweight, not really social media stuff, but something I could put in as part of a longer narrative. For example, let's talk about families. Is family important to you? Do you have a family? Some guy mentioned at this event this week, they said he's done 5 million miles and he's had 5 ex-wives. 1 million miles per ex-wife. Then they left him. That's a story. And that was the issue that I found. I was going to go for volume, try to get a bunch of these things. I started digging in with these guys that, oh man, maybe that's not what I need to do. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about pivot. You got to be good on the fly. You can go in with a plan and execute the plan. But sometimes there's a better thing that pops up. What ended up happening with me is I was talking to that guy, the 5 million miler, 5 ex-wife guy. He said, man, let me show you something. And he takes me out on the lot with these show trucks, the Pimp My Ride trucks. These trucks, and I'm not exaggerating this, some of them worth $1 million or more each. And there were dozens of them, a couple hundred probably. And I'm seeing these guys polishing those tanks, 40 to 50 hours per tank, polishing the trailers, hand lettering, customized stick shift. Everything about these trucks was custom. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place for these stories, because I'm talking to these guys. My friend, 5 million miles, 5 ex-wives, he's introducing me to them. I need to get these stories. This is also important. And that's how it happens. This is like any great interview. You can go in with a plan, but if you listen, and great interviewers, they listen more than they talk, and you can guide the story of the person that you're interviewing. Not change his story, but guide it to where it's got that arc, that beginning, that middle, and the end. Help him, help her tell their stories. And that's what I found. I found people that were willing to tell their stories to me. They wanted to go deeper. You can imagine putting that much time on these show trucks, and this is the showcase. There's the tension there. Are they going to win the competition? There's the camaraderie because they're seeing their buddies. They haven't seen them since last year. I knew there was a story there. I knew I wasn't going to get it with these quick clips. And that's why I started going deep. So what I ended up walking away with was not the dozens and dozens. And that was my goal when I went. I'm going to talk to 50 guys. We're going to get an overview of this industry, package it up with a narrative. I'm good. And that would have been good. But what would be great would be the guys that are polishing those tanks. The guys that are investing blood, sweat, and tears. There's a joke I heard. This is probably true. So you can tell a trucker he's in a $65,000 house and a $300,000 tractor. Tractor being the front part of the tractor trailer, a cab. What are you doing, man? Don't you know a house is the way to wealth? Yeah, maybe for some people. But these guys are on the road for a month or two at a time. That is their home. Why not go deeper into that? Why not invest more money into that? And I did something similar. Fewer interviews, but longer and more intentional interviews. Structured conversations instead of the liners. Asking one question about this and one question about that. Going deeper into the story. Man, this thing must cost a fortune. What got you into that? Did you have to build up to this level? Did it sneak up on you? I want to know what that decision was like. What did your wife think about it? Are you married? 5 ex-wives? Okay, let's talk about them. Is it you or is it her? You don't ask it like that. But again, you're guiding it. Trying to find the people behind the stories that you're getting. And that's what I did. Longer conversations instead of liners. A clear theme instead of the overall generality of America's long-haul truckers. This was show trucks, baby. I was at the show. I was going to take advantage of that. That is part of the bigger theme of America's long-haul truckers. But for this one, with tens of millions of trucks on the parking lot, yeah, you got to take advantage of it. Going deeper, I think in general it works better. And I think it's going to work better for you. I think it's going to work better for the guests, but I think it works better for listeners. We are lonely in this world. The average person, 0.5 best friends. I think that was the most recent stat that I saw, meaning you and your other friend have to share a best friend. You get half a best friend. So people are lonely. People have dreams. People want to know how somebody got into something, how somebody got out of something. People want to know about the sticky middle, not just the facade. We have reality television. We have celebrity. We have facade. You're probably not going to compete with that. But what you can compete is the depth, man. The complex stories. The human element of whatever it is you're talking about. You've probably been like I have, on the road, had trucks pass you by, you passed trucks, thought nothing of them. Yeah, there's somebody in there, but it's part of the machine. When you think about it, though, anytime you see a person, and this could be somebody driving a truck, it could be a cop, it could be somebody at your local 7-Eleven convenience store, that person has a very complicated life behind the element of that life that you are seeing. The cop that pulled you over, that just gave you a ticket, he's also working with jerks, just like you are. He also has a significant other, or kids, or parents, or things in his life, just like you do. And I think showing that, I think that is what is going to change the world. Letting us see the similarities that we have with other people, even if they don't look like us, they don't eat like us, they don't pray like us, they don't believe like us, and they don't live like us. That is an opportunity that you have as a podcaster. So if you can do that, get it. And that's the thing that influenced my pivot. I don't know that I would have done that had I not, as I said at the very beginning of this, been doing this for such a long time. You got to start where you are. But like these truckers, you start small and it sneaks up on you. Maybe you want those 50 quick clips, one-liners, one question. Maybe your interviews now are that way. You've got 10 questions. They're the same question for every guest. You run through them like you're a robot. Nothing wrong with that. That's where you are. But what I would encourage you, since the topic of this is the pivot, for you to change just a little bit. If you are at a live event and you do have these opportunities, go a little bit deeper. Look for the camaraderie. Look for the similarity, why everybody is there. See if you can put these things together, things that you might not have thought of going in, and find that story. You might think it's about one thing, but then it's about another thing. One of the things that I found talking to these truckers, it was a family thing. Oh, my grandfather did this, and now I got my sons and my grandsons. They're all here doing it with me. One lady told me, she said, I don't think that this is work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. We had 6 people working 48 hours to wash, wax, polish this thing up. But it's my family. We rented an Airbnb. We've been here all week. We are ready for this competition. It's not work. It's me hanging out with my family. That's the story. And that's something you're going to be able to relate to if you've got people in your life. That's what I think we're trying to do with any interview that we do. Yes, it's about truckers. Yes, it's about nurses. Yes, it's about whomever you're interviewing. But when you can bring out something anybody can connect with, think about documentaries that you've seen. I want to dive a little bit deeper into the pivot. That's the important thing here. You're in situations all the time. There are stories around you all the time. How do you find them? You can plan at a live event or any kind of interview that you're doing. And I think planning is good. Planning matters. Planning gives you something to work off from, but don't be so structured that you stick to the plan and miss what's happening outside of that plan. Locking yourself in too tightly, that's going to limit the upside of what you've got going for you outside of that window. I would suggest you have a plan A and a plan B. I'd like to go deeper. If I can find somebody to go deep with me, great. If that doesn't work, I'll just get the liners. Maybe it's the opposite of that. I'm going to get a bunch of liners. If I find somebody who's great, I'm going to go deeper with them. You let the room tell you what to make. Are people hanging out with you after you ask them the questions? Are they lingering? Are they wanting to talk more? Is it not just a yes or no? Are they open to it? Are their answers turning into stories? The story, for example, being, yeah, we're polishing this truck. It's not work. It's not even about the truck. It's about my family. Are the people that you're interviewing asking follow-ups? Are they curious about it? What are you going to do with this? Where can I find out about it? Are they interested in talking more? Sometimes people are interested. Some people are not. I have found this. And by the way, this is worth noting. Don't be like these YouTubers to just shove a mic or a camera in somebody's face. Ask, hey, I'm David. I'm working on this documentary about America's long-haul truckers. I got a few questions I'd like to ask if you don't mind. It's nothing personal. It's about long-haul trucking. It'll take about 5 minutes. Let them know what they're getting into. If somebody's nervous, say, look, you see them on the fence. If you want, I can have you answer the questions. And if you don't like it, I'll erase it right here. And then do it. Make people comfortable. Once you dive into something like that, the room, the people in the room, that's going to tell you what to make. I would say that depth beats volume for most podcasts. If you're a brand new podcaster, get the liners. If you're an intermediate, more advanced podcaster, go deep. Longer conversations as far as your podcast, that's going to help you build authority. It's going to help you build authority as an interviewer. It's going to attract more listeners because they're getting something with you that they couldn't get elsewhere. It's going to give you better highlight reels. It's going to help you go from that interview to the next interview to the next interview. It's not something like, hey, I'm Jim Bob from Kentucky and we be trucking. That's not that interesting. But going back to that story of the woman who was there all week, she rented the Airbnb. She's there with her family, her kids and her grandkids, and they're all working on this project together. Even if you're not into trucks, that's a story a lot of people can connect to. Go there. And if you really want to go deep, embed with them. In this case, go to the next show. Go there the next year. Do it over a period of time. It doesn't just have to be the weekend, but that's the start of the embedded review, where you're going back with them, living with them, eating with them, doing whatever. Multiple interviews, multiple opportunities for tape. Going to wrap this up talking about practical strategies. Before the event, do have a core goal. And that could be just meeting people. I'm going to use this podcast, get the liners, just because I want to meet people. Hey, it's David, and you're listening to Jones Podcast. Boom. Done. Hey, yeah. Well, you like this? Here's a card. Love to have you listen to the show. That's fine. But define your core goal. Do you want longer interviews for a documentary or narrative type thing? That's what I ended up doing. Do you want shorter liner type things just to meet people? or just to make your podcast sound bigger. The more voices you have on your podcast, the bigger it sounds. This is a reason for you, if you're interviewing a bunch of white dudes, bring in some black guys, bring in a female, bring in different voices, make it sound bigger. Get a Southern accent, English accent, Northern accent. That will make your podcast sound bigger. Talked about starting short. As that short interview is going, expand on it if they are interested. You are earning the right to go long. And you can ask them that. You have a little time to go deeper on that? That was really interesting what you just said. I was like, yeah, man, sure. One of the issues that I face sometimes is that people are a little too excited. You probably experienced this if you've done networking in an event. A lot of times people are nervous at an event, especially if they're there by themselves. And by you walking up to them, you're breaking the ice. You're really a security blanket for them, and they're going to hang on to you for a while. All right, thanks. I got what I need. All right, I'll see you around. And you got to bail, man. I mean, get what you need and leave. But at the same time, if it's going well, if they're interesting, go deeper with it. But don't let that one interview keep you from getting the other interviews that you need if you need another interview. After the event, let's say you got all this content, you got the short liners, you got the longer interviews. I would organize it by theme, not necessarily by guest, unless you're going deeper into that person's story. What I find is that, for example, being on this truck parking lot, I found a lot of families. I found a lot of people that were working class people putting everything they had in these trucks. The theme's going to emerge. Maybe you've got a full episode, maybe you've got a series, maybe you've got short clips, you've got social posts, you've got those liners with the different voices like I talked about, something to make your podcast sound bigger. This episode's been about the pivot, what to do when you go into a situation and it turns out to be better or maybe worse than you thought it was going to be. The pivot can change even after you've got your tape. I've got all these long form interviews. I'm overwhelmed now. I can't do anything with them. Well, maybe there's some segments you can get out of those. And this is a great thing to do if you ever do a regular style interview for your podcast. And by regular, I mean whatever your traditional interviews are, assuming you're doing interviews. And it's just not good. You don't have to use that full interview. Maybe there's clips or there's highlights or something that you could take and bounce off of that and make a suitable episode. Some people are good for 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, not good for a full interview. Well, take that 5 or 10 minutes, make that happen. That's a pivot. I want to finish up with this. You need to be prepared. But the very best podcasters, you're not just showing up prepared for an interview, you're also showing up prepared and ready to adjust if needed. Plan well, listen, look out the window. If what you hear and what you see is something different than you originally thought, you don't need to be stuck to a plan, but do have some kind of plan. Yes, I'm going to walk out of here with tape. I'm going to walk out of here with something that I can do. Stretch yourself, man. Don't just give up. I know a lot of people, they'll get a field recorder, like one of these Zoom handheld devices maybe, go to an event. Brand new equipment. Oh man, I'm going to go use this. I'm going to go do this. You ask him afterwards, how'd it go? I didn't even open it. No, man. That's the plan you need to follow through on. If it's bad tape, it's bad tape. Don't use it, but get it out. Yes, it's awkward. You're going to face that. I face that. It's weird, man. That first one, always weird. You ever done any door knocking? Like a community kind of thing, selling Girl Scout cookies, surveys, political stuff, maybe trying to pass some kind of law, get some signatures. The first one, always weird. But once you get going, it's not that bad. In your interviews, that's the same way. Walk up to people. I've found that, again, being very clear on what you need, and that's where you can start small. Hey, I got about 3 or 5 questions. It'll take 1 or 2 minutes. Give them the short elevator pitch. Most people say, yeah, I'd love to talk about it. Or you get them talking about it, maybe off the mic, and then they're like, yeah, I think I can answer a couple questions. They're nervous. They don't think they're talkers, but they're talkers. Those are sometimes the best talkers. All right, that's it. Big Podcast Playbook. That's the podcast. You can subscribe to it by going to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. I've got 3 ways for you to do it, depending on how you listen to podcasts. You got an Android? I got an Android button for you. iPhone, I got an Apple button that's going to take care of you. And I've got an old-fashioned RSS feed. Any way you're getting your podcast, I can take care of you at bigpodcast.com/subscribe. If you're interested in what I'm talking about and going deeper with it, making more money with your podcast, getting more people to your podcast, growing your audience, growing your authority, doing a better podcast, something that makes impact, that changes lives, not only the lives of listeners, but the lives of you and your family. I got you, man. That's called Big Podcast AMP, AMP. It stands for Audio Monetization Program, and you can find information on that at bigpodcast.com/AMP. That's bigpodcast.com/AMP. I'm here, available to work with you if you're interested. That's bigpodcast.com/AMP, bigpodcast.com/AMP. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it. bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Go there right now before you forget, and I'll see you on the next episode of Big Podcast Playbook.